We are
Gas
now
is live.
live. House number 3. What's up?
Oh, I'm
We got a
missing a
Good
special
morning,
name.
good
guest that's right
afternoon,
there
good night.
with.
Grand
We got a
rising.
special guest right there with Queen Purple Love. Ty, say hi.
Hi.
Yes, smile.
Round of applause. Try to make that ass clap. Bow, bow.
No, no, this ain't the twerking section. Not this week. Not this week. All right.
No
Maybe
talking.
next week. You
Oh,
throw
not
some
this
dollars.
week.
All right.
Heard
Yeah.
you. Heard you.
So after last week, we discussed what our topics was going to be. Miss Tina right there, Christina, decided what movie we're going to watch for Netflix.
Yes. So this week's topic is definitely about the documentary Disclosure that's on Netflix. I chose the movie because simply, why not? I do think that there is a certain misrepresentation when it comes down to trans women, in particular, when it comes down to media. So yeah, let's get it cracking. Let's get it cracking like it.
All
Overall,
right.
I thought the movie was it was genuine as fuck. I thought it was real as fuck. I thought, the discussions surrounding the topic at hand, the misrepresentation of trans people in media was right on the nail. It was right on point. Uh so yeah, I don't really have further much to say about that. I think the movie overall was like 10 out of 10.
So there was nothing you didn't like about the the
Uh
the documentary. It's got to
Something
be
that I
something.
didn't like. You know what? Things that I found that I didn't like in the documentary was like also addressed and corrected. For instance, when they introduced the movie Stonewall, when they portrayed that it was the white man who was the one that threw the brick in the window and started the riots and stuff like that. When in actuality, it was Marsha P. Johnson, a black trans woman, and Sophie Rivera, a Latina ex trans woman, who started it. And Laverne Cox, she came in and kind of
Corrected that.
addressed it, like Stonewall was a good movie and everything, but the story was not there. That's not true. So again, like I said, any problems that I felt like I had in the movie was addressed. That was really it.
So you gave it 10 out of 10. All right.
I did give it a 10 out of 10.
Joey, you saw the whole movie, Joey?
Yes, I saw the whole movie
And
twice.
what's twice?
Twice.
Oh, so you liked it.
Proud of you, cousin. Proud of
So you
you.
liked it.
Hold on.
The problem I had with the movie was when they was thing with the comedy. Comedy makes fun of everybody, so you can't get mad at it. You can't get mad at something that everybody gets made fun of. Like they make fun of fat people. They make fun of Spanish, Mexicans, and I understand where things come from, but that wasn't something that should have been like, oh, you can't. That was a disgusting thing because they
Can
did
I
that.
rebuttal?
No, you talk. Let him speak.
That like you can't. Comedy is comedy. If somebody made fun of Boo Boo because Boo Boo has a big nose or and stuff like he can get mad, but it's just comedy. You know,
But
at
did you
that time,
listen? But did you listen to
yes, I
the
listened to what they
issue
said.
about it? And regardless, you still say, "Fuck it,
Yes, it's
it's
comedy.
comedy."
It's
I
Okay,
comedy.
agree with Joey.
okay.
It felt more like there were a lot of victimizing. Like they were playing victim. It felt like it was playing victim. Like when it comes to media, everybody is how do you
Hmm.
say? Everybody is affected the same way. They target every different race, culture, sexual preference. They target everybody the same way in media. You know,
Media.
that's just what they
I
do.
I
That's just
agree.
in
I can
general.
agree to
So
that.
that's why
Yeah.
I felt like if they were gonna tell their stories, it's fine. As far as them saying how people were depicted, oh, they didn't like that they would put men in dress and say that that's the way. But some people, that's how they're not. Everybody's not beautiful. You might feel beautiful. Everybody's not feeling beautiful. So that's how they depicted. That was their choice in that movie. But especially with comedy, like they crack jokes on everybody. And as far as like a trans woman or trans man choosing a part to play, if you want to be an actress or an actor, that is your decision, and you choose your parts. You can say no to something that you feel is offensive to your preference. You can do that. You understand
But
what I'm saying?
you do
As far
realize
as like,
also that it's not that much work for us. It's very much
but
your
that's
prostitute A, your prostitute B, your
okay,
prostitute
but that's
C.
with everybody though. Nobody who
Is
start
it?
no group,
Is it,
no
Laura?
group who starts in anything is playing anything other than whatever it is. That's a
Right.
choice though. You can also make a lane.
But
There are
those are the
people who
only
are
roles that's
yeah, but
given to
that's a
us.
choice. You still have a
Okay,
choice
but
in
if we
that
don't take
decision.
those roles, we don't get those jobs.
But
You
you
feel
can
what I'm
also make
saying?
your own lanes. You can
See,
also do
but it
something for
sounds
yourself.
easy. It sounds
It
easy.
does.
It
It
does. It
does sound
sounds
easy.
easy.
But
But
it's
back
also everything
then,
is a choice. Again, you cannot complain. Okay, you play prostitute number one 4 times. You got a little bit of money off of playing prostitute number one. Right? Let's just say you got a little bit of money, not saying big money, you got a little bit of money. You play prostitute number one. Now, did you invest in making movies yourself? I'm pretty sure the LGBTQIAC, whatever other
girl,
letters I'm
just
missing.
say LGBTQ plus, because even I have a problem with saying all of that. So don't even
That's too
But
many
say
listen,
letters.
but the
just
thing
That's
is,
too many
there's
letters.
an
LGBTQ
I and
plus.
there's an
Say
A.
plus.
The thing is that in general,
Right.
that is how it's depicted. That's how that you do what you want with your money. You can take that community and if everybody's having problems, why couldn't they band together and start doing things? They have had so many different movements with time. But just like anything with the black culture, Spanish culture, any with time, you have now evolved into different positions. You didn't that just didn't happen overnight. So I felt like if they were telling their story, that's fine. That was their struggle. But it shouldn't be they should own that it was their struggle and that's how they made it. They should own that. They shouldn't have used it as a victimization kind of conversation. Like, oh well, they treated guess what?
So
They made those mistakes, but guess what? They put them on the camera. There were roles that were played that weren't by transgenders that they should have looked into having transgenders played when they did purge certain movies or whatever, and that's fine. But then you push that on them. Well, why is it you have this guy playing a transgender as this regular person, but why can't it be an actual transgender female
right.
and they will move up eventually, and that's just how it is. Nothing is perfect, and I don't think media is accepted from that. Like that's if they was everything was perfect, it would just be easy. But that's not life, and everybody has had their struggles in the media. Everybody's
Right.
not a Denzel Washington. Everybody's not, gonna be famous when they go out there. Everybody has to take the roles, but when you get to a point that you can choose your roles, that's when you step up. Or when you make enough money to start your own production, where you can start your own filming, you have that right. They have transgender modeling agencies that deal with just transgenders, and they look at getting
But
them.
we
So that's
just got
okay.
those, Laura. Like I see what
Like
you're
I know
saying, but you
everything.
have to
I understand
understand
that.
we're just now getting these things because it's
But that's
2020.
no different. But
Like
that's no different from
it is it is.
any other group. Every group has had their struggle. The only people who did
Right.
not struggle is the white people. Facts. Every group
Right.
has had their struggle. Black,
Right.
Spanish, gay, lesbian. The
Right.
only thing that about that movie that I kind of thought was wrong was when it came down to their own communities working with them.
Yeah,
What do you mean?
like the
When they said
gays
that the
and the
lesbians,
With
the
the
gay
lesbians.
pride.
community, they didn't want to be on their side. That's the only thing I
They
felt
don't
was
want to be on
wrong.
the
But at the
trans
same
side.
time,
Like
yeah, they didn't want to be a part of them. Like they didn't acknowledge them, the transgenders. I get that part. So
Yeah. I mean,
Ty?
what I have to say about that real quick, Laura, I think I do see what you're saying when you talk about the comedy aspect. I do believe that whenever it comes down to comedy, like it's not for the faint of heart, especially stand-up comedy. You feel what I'm saying? However, when it's depicted that we are gross or throw up worthy, when there was an when I forgot the name of the movie with Jim Carrey, when
Ace
he was like,
Ventura,
he
Ace
yeah
Ventura.
he kissed a trans woman. Then at the end of the movie, it was very much, he had a whole scene about him, brushing his teeth down, having to get rid of whatever just happened, and then for him to blast old girl in the end, and then have everybody, the police department was throwing, everybody was throwing up. For me, that is not funny. Like, where do you see comedy in that? Like,
Okay.
I don't get it. Like, there's no comedy in that. And I do believe that media especially has had some sort of way of uh conditioning us without even knowing. You know what I mean? I do believe that media has had their fair share in the way
But
a
that's
lot of
everybody.
people think and feel about the trans experience. I do
Can
think
I ask
that.
you a question?
What's up, Ty? What's up?
So I don't remember how old you are, but I know you are a little younger, a lot younger than us. So
Nah, not
when
a
I
lot.
saw that movie, I didn't get none of what they're saying about Ace Ventura from that movie when I saw it. It wasn't until they said what they said in the documentary that you know. It was even one of the characters that said that.
Yeah.
But back when it came out, when I was a kid, that did not affect.
Yeah.
Oh, they're getting at transgender people. I don't even remember what I thought. I gave two shits about. I don't know if y'all curse on. Sorry. I didn't
Yeah.
care back then when I was watching it what it was about. If it was a
Yeah.
funny part, I just laughed, and then that was
Right.
it. It's not
Yeah.
now until now that you putting something in someone's head to make you think about it. Like, okay,
Uh-huh.
that's messed up, but at the same time, when I first saw it, it was funny, and it wasn't a big deal
Right.
then. But now it's
Right.
a big deal in 2020. I don't know when they made the
Right.
documentary, but I'm sure it's
Right.
within the 20s.
Right.
So, do you feel that this documentary is influencing your thinking?
Of saying, like, is it influencing me of saying or trying to put the blame on media as far as like why people think the way they think about the trans experience?
Yeah, because that's how media is built.
Uh I think for me, because me personally, I've never seen these movies. Like the movies that they gave examples of, I didn't see Boys Don't Cry. I've never seen the Ace Vendetta, that movie I was just talking about. I've never
Ace
seen these movies
Ventura.
growing. Yeah, I've never seen these movies. I was raised in the rural South. You feel what I'm saying? The dirty South. So it's like the only representation of any trans or anything like that was very much Medea. Or whenever I saw it on a sitcom or something to that extent. I don't know if y'all ever heard of this show or not, but it was called Noah's Ark. No.
Yes.
Oh, you've
Yes.
seen Noah's Ark.
I
Okay,
own the
so
DVD.
girl,
I own
I'm trying to
the
find the
DVD.
DVDs. I'm trying to
I
find the
own it.
DVDs, but you know, that was the only thing that I had. You feel what I'm saying? However, so for me, it was I looked at it as a little differently, and I do think sometimes our experiences, uh, because let's say, you know, what about that boy or that girl who saw, you know, Boys Don't Cry, you know, that young trans woman who well,
No.
that young trans man who, you know, saw Big Boys Don't Cry, whatever the name of that movie is. Like, I don't know,
Yeah.
for me it was just
The
different.
Crying Game. I seen The Crying Game. I seen
No, no,
Boys
no.
Don't Cry.
Yeah, no, no. Let me say something to you. Like, and I'm gonna piggyback off what Todd said. She had to step away from me. When it comes to certain things, like how you said Medea, I don't consider Medea as a trans situation.
No, it's a drag situation.
Yes, I don't consider
That
it as
is
a
very
trans
much,
situation. But
but
if
again,
you
that was the only thing I
no, but
knew
and
of.
Medea was meant to be. Medea was meant
I
to
get it.
be
Funny
that that
and
that was to me. Medea was a role that Tyler Perry made for himself. In my mind, he chose
yes,
that role
because
because he played
she's a
the
drag queen.
yeah,
She is a
but he
drag
didn't
queen.
play. But that was another thing. He didn't play a
That's
drag
up
queen.
there.
He played his grandmother the best he knew how to play it. He felt
That's
like
not
he didn't fit it.
that story is not true, Laura.
No, no, no. I'm
That's
saying
not a
he
true
played. That's
story either.
listen.
Because Tyler Perry
He
used to be
said that
around the
that
bars and
was his.
stuff.
Yeah,
I
they said
know,
he said that
I
was how
know,
he viewed grandmothers. I get that, but
but I
I'm
know a
saying he
different
played the.
story.
But that's
Yeah,
the role he played. I don't consider that a trans situation, and that's what I said. Like there's certain things that I look at and I say, okay, I get where it was a transgender person, and there are times where I get where they, like I said, they make jokes, and whether they agree with them or not, it's their decision. But I don't feel I don't feel like everything is as cut and dry as they try to make it in the documentary. I feel like some things it was like Mrs. Doubtfire and Big Mama's House. They weren't playing drag as much as, to me, they were doing things, and the only way they could do it was the easiest way was to be a different sex. You understand what I'm saying? Like undercover work in Big Mama's House, whatever. Undercover work, right? He dressed as a woman because he was doing undercover work. He didn't dress as a drag queen. He wasn't playing a drag queen. He wasn't. That's when I said those things to me made it seem like more they were trying to play victim. Like, oh, well, why didn't they? But that wasn't the role. You understand what I'm saying? If the role is that you're playing, whatever reason they choose to dress in female or male, that's a choice. That's a role that he takes. There are some men that don't take that role. You understand what I'm saying? Now, there was one. What was one with Patrick Swayze back in the day?
214.
214. That was a different story. You understand what I'm saying? That was a totally. That was about. They were trans women. They were trans. That was what that was about.
They were
That's
drag queens. No, they were drag
No,
queens.
no,
They
yeah,
weren't
yeah,
trans.
she's
Whatever
right.
they was doing. But
She's
that's
right.
what
They
I'm
were
saying.
just drag queens.
That was a different story. That where they portrayed it, you had a problem with them not actually using real drag queens. That was, but they make again things that sell. So I don't feel like some of the things that they were using as examples, well, I felt they were, some of the movies they were using were a little excessive to me because it wasn't how it's depicted. I felt like they were just trying to read too much into something like Big Mama's House. We knew that was him going in there to go undercover. There are cops that play undercover work all the time. They don't sit there and say, well, let me find an undercover cop who's, they don't do that. It's the cop who has to get into a situation and they do what they have to do. That's reality. He was playing that woman because that's what he had to do to get into, to convict, to get the person he needs to get. And then with Mrs. Doubtfire, it was the same thing. He was playing a nanny so he could spend more time with his kids. He didn't do it because they weren't taking a trans. It didn't had nothing to do with drag queen or trans.
Exactly.
He was in a
It
role.
ain't got nothing to do with the trans experience, but it has every little thing to do with the man in a wig and a dress and how.
Yeah, but that was the thing is that you're stupid, and that's where I have the problem. I get that.
Yeah, I had the
you
problem
have
with that
trans men and women. I get that, and there are people who dress in drag. I totally get that. What I don't feel like you should use as an example is somebody who wears a man with a wig, because they're not doing it to make fun of you. They weren't doing it for that. Their reason was.
So what about the things that were making fun of? Again, that movie, Ace Vendetta, that movie.
And I get that, but like I said too.
Yeah. So what about the things
that
were?
Movie and thought about it like that until
because
it was
you
said.
Couldn't connect to it.
There was a gentleman who was talking. There was I don't know if it was a gentleman or it was a female. They were talking about that movie and they said it was their favorite movie growing up until
it was a trans. I know a movie. Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? So and here's my thing. That person who was dealing with all these emotions didn't feel that way when they seen the movie. It wasn't until they decided to transition that then they.
So what about the adults? Like what about the adults who knew what they were watching at that time?
That's the thing. Now I said there were adults that seen it and that's fine. If it affects you, then you can do what you gotta do. Do what the Beckys and the Karens do. They write these motherfucking people and they complain because that's what they fucking do. Sorry. But that's how I feel about it. Boo Boo ain't give his opinion. Boo Boo, you listen. Yeah,
Boo Boo, Joey, what's up?
Listen.
My straight cis heterosexual cousins.
Hey. Why we gotta be straight and heterosexual? Why all I gotta have? I'm just
you're right.
Listen.
Cis heterosexual.
I take the A.
Cousins.
Why is the A or the I? What's the A or the I?
I didn't.
Asexual, intersexual, something like that.
What the hell? Why is it all so many letters? Why is it with all them letters? For what?
Because gender is a spectrum.
Gender
is a spectrum.
Every time a new gender comes,
is a spectrum.
Like
I do agree that you have to. Hold on. I do agree that gender. You can choose your gender. That's how you feel. That's how you are inside. I understand it. But like I said, when it comes to comedy makes fun of everybody.
Okay,
like nobody.
It's Boo Boo time. Boo Boo.
Yeah.
Don't make me mad like that. living
right.
in the
Oh shit.
Bronx.
Let me
This is
let
My,
me let me get a sip of water for this.
that's what I've been sipping on. I ain't
so
had no liquor.
my view on it, I feel two ways about it. I feel one, that was, I get trying to get the history out there, but I feel like it was a poor representation of the community as a whole. Because all they did with that was show basically like the downfalls and the faults. Like they like I watched it and I almost pulled out a notebook. I almost did what Christina did. I almost pulled out a notebook because there was a couple of things. There was a couple of things that blew my mind, and I did some research. Like one of the things they was
Okay.
complaining about was where they sat there and with the movie where it was a dude dressed up as a female. Remember, and the female hopped out of the elevator. He went to slice her. He was a psychopath, and they're
Yeah,
like,
that
Yeah,
was
yeah,
the first.
yeah.
"Now they sat there and they
Yeah.
said, why are we being um
Depicted that
represented
way.
as a
Yeah.
psychopath?" So I did my research. There was about three. There was about three serial killers who sat there and dressed up as women before they did the killing, or they killed the women and dressed up as women. So now knowing that there's a real history of a real person who sat there and actually dressed up as a woman to go do these killings to
Yeah.
throw the police off because they're looking for a woman, they're not looking for a man. I felt like, all right, now you're reaching. You know, you're
Mm.
reaching. I understand the pain, but you're reaching. Another one was where they sat there and they said, the prostitution. We're always
Mm.
prostitutes, or the medical thing. We're sitting there and we're dying because the transition pills, or we got some type of cancer or something like that. It kills us off.
Yeah.
Whatever. I get that. I understand that. Right?
Which is not real. Though, which, by the
Which
way,
isn't
those medical reasons they were giving were not
Christina,
real.
the
let
medical
him
the
Those
medical
talk.
the
no, no.
medical things that they pulled up, the
Uh
medical
huh.
whatever names is a real thing, but saying that the pills did it was a stretch. All right, cool, you can
Okay.
have that.
Okay. I
But
see what
now
you're
here's
saying.
my
Yeah.
thing. Now here's my thing. Me as a person, as a Puerto Rican person, right? If a producer comes up to me and says, "Hey, I want you to speak Spanish, but you guys sound Mexican," my first check, I'm taking that because I ain't never been on TV before. Now
Okay.
you got these people who played these roles. This one lady said she played this role 7 times. You're
Mm.
known in the acting community. Why didn't you dub that? Nah, I'm tired of playing. I'm tired of being a prostitute. We're not just prostitutes. She did it 7 times.
Right.
She did it multiple
Because
times.
you know that during that time that was the only work we could get at that time. Like the reason why sex work is so heavy and trans women especially is because of the discrimination that we face in the work. If I didn't look somewhat passable, I would be on those same corners right now. You feel what I'm saying? So
Yeah, but that's
and
the
Now
it
here,
has
thing.
it
now
Okay,
here's
has
my
a lot to do with
here's my thing to it. Here's my thing to it. I understand what you're saying, but that's the only work y'all get. But that was the only work that if everybody would have never accepted that and protested and like Laura said, protested it or go to the because you're in a position where you can sit there and say something. You
but that
understand?
has
But you took the
happened
job.
before. That has happened
But you took,
just like the Black Lives Matter movement. The
yeah,
civil rights have been going on for a very long time. You don't think we've been out there protesting and doing this, that, and the third, trying to get our foot somewhat in the door?
yeah,
Like
but it happens with
there are a
time.
lot of laws that are being passed, like the whole bathroom law, that whole situation when it comes down to kids who are of trans experience and trying to figure out the whole bathroom like these laws are being passed because people are definitely fighting for it. It's just
yeah.
now at the forefront.
It's just now that now is a different time than before. Remember,
Yeah,
there was a time where black people wasn't black people. There was white people that was sitting there painting their face with blackface.
the blackface. Yeah, I thought that was
You
awesome
understand?
too, like how they got down to the
Everybody
nitty
went through.
gritty, even like when
Yeah.
it came down to blackface. And I was like, okay, I ain't even mad at y'all
Now,
for that.
now, now, me. truth be told, with all the comedy things, I say get over it. And the reason why I say get over it is because of this. When most comedy people, when and they get on everybody, there's always a stereotype with everybody. You understand? There's stereotypes for everybody. If you go if you go to a play and the play is a black family, most 9 times out of the 10 the fathers are alcoholic. If it's a white family, the mothers are stuck on heroin. You understand? If they're Spanish, if they just say Hispanic, the Hispanic is a Mexican illegal in America. There's all types of stereotypes with it. You understand? I understand that y'all want your voice to be heard, but not but yeah, but we all go through it. You understand? So when you put on a show or you go to a movie and you go to watch a comedy, whatever happens in that comedy, you got to take because at the end of it all, the same way that Ace Ventura threw up because he found out a female was
That
a
wasn't
male,
the only. That wasn't the only
and
movie.
and that's not the only movie, but I'm gonna get to that too. He threw up because he found out he kissed a girl. Is the same way is the same way where in comedies they sit there and they got a fat father that sit there. He got a stack of pancakes this high and he made greasy, nasty looking, breathe hard and all that. It's the same thing. You don't think fat people feel bad?
No,
I don't eat like that.
no, boo boo.
Of
I'm sorry,
course,
but I
it
cannot agree with you
is.
with that. That is
It
not. You
is.
cannot compare those two.
It
Like
is
those two are not on the.
in
You
a
cannot
comedy
compare that,
role
boo boo.
in a comedy role. People who can't control their weight, that they have a hard time losing their weight, they not secured with themselves as the same
There's
issues
not a
that
lot of fat roles
is the
like that. It's not a
is the
lot of
same.
movies like that, boo boo. That's why
There
I'm
is a
saying
lot
you
of
can't
fat roles.
compare
A
them.
lot of movies with what? Hold on, I missed that. Not a lot of movies with what?
Who me?
You said she said it's not a lot of movies with what?
Fat people making fun of fat
Fat people, yeah,
That's a
making fun of
lie.
like fat bashing them to the extent of I
What was the
can't
one
be
with
around
Eddie
a
Murphy
fat
playing
person
that
because
girl?
if I'm around a
With Eddie Murphy?
to the
Norbert.
hold on to the
The
extent of
clumps.
I
So,
can't be
and he played
around
him.
a fat person unless I'm throwing up. I mean to that extent, like
It's not even just movies in media. Fat people, even when they do stuff on like Law and Order, they've had episodes where
I
they
know, but what I'm
they
saying is you
abuse
can't
people.
compare that
But what he's
to the
saying, see, Christina,
extent
what you're missing
of
with that point is what I said too. It happens to everybody. You cannot
not
like
to
when it
that
comes to
extent though, Laura. Not to that
it
extent. You cannot
does.
sit up here
No,
and tell
He
I
me
did a
that you
Shallow
know a
Hal.
fat movie.
Yeah. Shallow Hal was a movie where he literally did not like big girls. He liked nobody big. You had to be the perfect figure. So they gave him somebody cursed him and made him see the
Okay.
inside of people. He fell in love with this girl. She threw her drawers at him when they was about to have sex. She threw her drawer. He was like, "What is this? A curtain?" And threw this shit away. Had no idea she was a big girl. Couldn't understand why the big. And when he found out she was big, he had to. He decided he still loved her. But at the end of the day,
See, Laura, you
they,
cannot compare that. Like
hold on,
like
yes, you can,
it was a
Christina.
love story. No,
because
but it
It
was
wasn't
the
a
a
movie
love story. Look what he
no.
had to go through
the
to
movie
realize shallow. That's
the,
what it was. And he only
Okay.
wanted skinny women. Yes,
Right.
the movie
Right.
that
and
you're
he was a
talking
fat
about,
dude. That's what bugged me the hell out.
When right.
the movie that
However, when
Christina
we're
was talking
represented in that sense, we don't get that we fall in love in the end story. We don't have that same end result
Well, look
like
what?
the fat girl finding
That's
love.
a
Like
fib.
you cannot compare those two.
That's a fib because you got the L word. Everybody was in love. Queer folk, people was in love. No, it's
Right.
off.
But no,
People
we're
was in
sticking at the
love.
topic at hand. We're trans women.
It was some trans people in
Oh,
those shows.
okay, trans people. But even in the L word, as you saw, that even that was some sort of, it was an issue with that. With the whole Sam, I think his name was, taking testosterone and depicting the trans man as a aggressive, thing, and it was because of the testosterone he was taking. Like, I get what you're saying. However, these are two totally different complete stories that I don't think you can really compare.
You can.
To a degree. to
to the
a
same level.
degree.
I feel like
No,
Boo
you
Boo.
cannot.
When it
Everything
comes to
is
comedy,
about how you interpret something.
Yeah.
It's all about how you
comedy
interpret it.
is
For
comedy.
me,
Right.
and we cut
No,
off Boo Boo.
no. Oh yeah.
You
Boo
all
Boo.
cut off Boo Boo. All y'all fired cutting off Boo Boo.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Now, it's all right.
Boo Boo.
It's all right. We all here to talk, but like I said, I feel like comedy's just offhand. Now, another thing that got me that made almost made me pull out my notebook
What's up?
was the video clip that I said we're gonna get into, where the guy fell in love with a showgirl who was a trans man, and right before they went and did the nasty, his face was he's face to face with a whole man, a whole meat in his face, and he went and threw up. Now,
Oh,
The
I
crying
forgot the
game.
name of that.
The
The
crying
crying
game.
game. Yeah.
the crying game. Now, what threw me off about the whole topic was where I feel like y'all wrong. Well, not y'all, but I say in a general sense, you're wrong if this is how you feel. Was because after that they went to the interview with with the lady. I don't even remember her name, but she said, "Oh, that's basic." Like it was something saying, "Why do I have to disclose who I am and stuff like that?" I feel like you have to. I feel like it's more respectable. You understand? If I sit there and go to a club and I'm all up on this woman and I put my hand down her pants and she's bigger than mine, I'ma feel sick too. It ain't got nothing to do with that. It's just the fact that my preference is female. I just went against my whole preference and just did a whole extra thing with a whole man. And you ain't even tell me.
I agree.
That right there is like sitting there telling a vegan,
Okay,
oh no,
so
it's
now I feel like we're
that's wrong.
slightly doing this because I do get what you're saying. However, I feel like it's about to go into a situation, with that because I do have my own opinions and I do have my own views about having like I do not have to disclose any information to anybody. That is nobody's business. However, I do agree that if we're going to take it there or you feel like it's about to go there and you even have like a doubt in your mind or you have to question, does he know? I do agree that sis, you gotta say something.
Yeah, no,
However,
I'm
I
not
am not
saying
gonna write it on my forehead.
no.
I'm trans or
I'm
anything
not
to
saying
that
Not
extent.
right away. Not right away. But like you said,
saying go up to
to get to
somebody.
that point.
Hi, my name is Christina. I'm a whatever. I'm not saying do that. But if you run into this guy and you're talking on the bus, and, y'all exchange numbers and the conversations get a little hot and heavy. He texting you, "Good morning, how you doing, beautiful," and whatever. And this is going a step further. I think at some point at that time, before it gets any further, you should be able to say, you know what, I got to sit down and talk with this person, let this person know what they're
Right.
stepping into,
Right.
and let them
Okay.
decide from there.
All right, and I agree.
The ladies seem like
I've been in those situations to where
yeah.
guys have handed me their numbers in the train station, and I've automatically because I'm not gonna tell you in your face. You feel what I'm saying? Like I'm not gonna sit there and risk nothing. However, I do let them know when I get home. Listen, this is the ordeal, or I just won't even text them. You feel what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But I do think that's a different conversation and a different topic.
That we are
That
not gonna get into
yeah,
because I know y'all
We
Mexican.
need that.
Nah.
We need that one alone. Leave it alone right there.
So
But I think, but honestly, on the crying game, I think that was kind of wrong for them to portray it like that.
but
With
my
the
thing, I've never
crying
seen the
with the
crying
throwing
game.
up, with
Has
the throwing
anybody
up.
seen it?
Yes, I have. With
Nah,
the
But that
throwing up.
wasn't the only. But that wasn't the only movie, Joey. It wasn't just the crying game. It wasn't
you
Ace,
like,
No,
Ace Vendetta.
what I'm
It
saying is,
was
no, I was
multiple movies
no, but what I'm
portraying
saying
the
is,
okay.
exact
I'm
same
agreeing
thing.
with you. I'm agreeing with you
but
when it
I'm
came
not
to
gonna agree with that
the
because I agree with Boo
the
Boo when he
throwing
said
up
that.
because
When
Like
he
Boo
said
Boo said,
what?
if you don't tell somebody, you cannot get offended on their reaction. You understand what I'm saying? If I'm
But
dealing with
I've never
a
seen the
gentleman,
movie, so I don't know
if I'm
how
dealing
that
with a
works.
guy, if I'm dealing with a guy, right? I'm dating a guy. I'm in love. Oh my God, we've never been intimate. Oh, he's the fake. He's my. Oh, this is my boo. I'm introducing him. We're moving forward in a relationship, and then I find out right before I find out when we're having sex that he does not have the equipment that I like. Then yeah, I have the right to react however I choose to react. If I go in the bathroom and throw up, you cannot offend me. You can't be mad at me.
No.
Why not? If that's how I react, you don't know how I feel. You can't just like you interpret the movie the way you did.
Okay.
That's how I'm taking this movie. As far as like with the media, I'm saying with the media, you cannot in general. If that's how they chose to depict it, these people did not know in advance. You understand what I'm saying? It was a reaction. And if you are a heterosexual straight man, and you, especially if you are homophobic, because there are men who are homophobic too. If they are that, then their reaction is not going to be, and that's what to me the movie's.
It's not justifiable to death, and I do just want to state that for the record. I don't give a damn how surprised or shocked or whatever it is that you
if you
felt,
were dating a
you
man,
do not have a right to take somebody's life based on.
Oh, I'm not taking it.
No, taking nobody's life.
I said I had to say that for the record because I felt like it was.
Up. I'm talking
you were saying like
taking somebody's life. That's crazy.
To react the way I want to react and stuff. I just think like that language. I gotta clarify.
I'm not saying kill. No, we're not talking about being physically violent. I'm talking about if you find out and you go run to the bathroom and throw up. I don't think, and if that's how the movies depicted it, that's a choice they made. But that could be a reaction to like I said, a heterosexual straight man or a straight heterosexual straight female.
I'm sorry,
we can
Lord,
have that same reaction.
That's not the reaction.
Might not feel
that's not a reaction that people go through. I'm sorry, but
how do you know what people go through?
I'm gonna tell you how I know.
But you cannot.
I've been in situations to where men didn't know, and we were face to face. And they not throwing up. Bruh still want to get down to the nitty gritty. You feel what I'm saying?
Okay,
like it is a misrepresentation. Like, no, that is not how people. I'm sorry, but I've never known somebody who didn't know my tea, and once they found out, they were just puking like it was so disgusting.
Maybe that,
maybe
that happened to the director.
You only can speak for yourself.
You have never experienced it, but you don't know. Again,
and that's
you
why
don't
I made
know.
It clear. I never experienced it.
No, yeah, but that's why you. That's why I said you said you cannot. But like I said, everybody's reaction is different.
It's different.
So like I said, I don't know how I would react if I was in a similar situation. I'm not gonna judge somebody, but like I said, even in the media, if these guys knew in advance and they like, let's say they weren't sexual, let's say they met the female and she told them, listen, I'm trans, and they reacted like that. No, I would think that's crazy because I'm like, okay, but you don't know how somebody's gonna react. That's how I feel. So I feel like I don't punish. I don't condone any kind of violence against a person just because of their preference, race. I'm with all the EEO issues. I don't condone any of that. You should definitely not put your hands on somebody because you're attracted to them. You were attracted to them. You gave me your number. You should not be mad at them because you felt they were sexy and then you reacted. So I'm definitely not with all of those shits with the violence and the murder. I don't get all of that.
And that's why I said media has misrepresented us because I do believe that those people who react in such ways have had influences. Because just like I didn't know shit about trans, I didn't know anything about a damn trans woman until I got to college, and she was not very pleasant. Like
she was not very pleasant.
I knew about it, but I also knew like that is a step that I could not go to. You feel what I'm saying?
Yeah, but again, I also feel like it's like there was a one of the actresses, I think it was saying that her she was jealous of another person because of the way his father or her father accepted her as a trans person.
Yeah.
And like I said, it all depends on you. Some people might not feel comfortable with that, but then there's some people that learn to feel comfortable. Some people, there are relationships that break up when the child decides to be trans and the father doesn't like it or the mother doesn't like it, and it's a problem. It's all depicted on how you choose, and that's how I look at it.
Yeah.
I do think media has had an influence on why people feel the certain way about trans women. I do feel that way.
Oh,
I
But
do
yeah,
think that
hiding it doesn't make it better. Basically, they're like when you try to hide the truth from what it is, when the truth come
it
out,
doesn't make it any better.
it's
You're
like, oh my
right.
god, like, So the fact that like Laura said, the only people that had upper hand in life is really white people and Jewish people, if you think about it. Like, and it's not to be racist, but that is what it is. You understand? Black people, let's say Latinos and all that, didn't have a standpoint in anything. You understand? The first time anybody ever played in any game, like if you look at the basketball, they always talk about the Fab Five, where it was that was the first time they had an all starting basketball team that was black. Jackie Robinson, first professional black player. Like everybody, like it just the media back then was ridiculous. It was whatever they wanted.
yeah.
Now we're getting to a point where life is life.
The truth is coming out.
Like
That's what it is.
Where everybody's get an equal
there's
shot,
yeah,
but it
there's
happens at the time.
Now it's gotten to that point.
But it's
now it's
with
getting
every play person.
but
Everybody has that documentary. Instead of that was their story. There's nothing wrong with
It was the
having
truth,
every.
Laura.
No, listen. That was again. That was their. That's the transgender community's story.
that's their story.
That's
That's
their
their
path.
trials and
That was their
tribulations.
history, and there's nothing wrong with them portraying their history. But you also have to start embracing your own issues. Everybody, every culture, every sexual preference, everybody has a history of how they made it through the media. Nobody came out and was like, "Oh, I'm black. That's it. I'm gonna be a star. That's it." They had to play the drug addicts, the drug dealers. Those things is how they had to move up into their till they got to a point where guess what? They no longer had to play those roles, where they made a lane for their own self. You have that right. That's what I was saying. Everything happens with time. Nothing is overnight. That's their story. Granted, their story goes way back to when they were in black and white TV. That's fine. But the women on black and white TV, the minority, the black, the Spanish people on black and white TV, their story is no different. They all had a lane. It just how it went. It just like I Love Lucy, right? They brought
Never
up I
saw
Love
it.
Lucy because when I Love Lucy went in color, they actually had a trans person on there who couldn't walk in heels, but they were just sneaking the person out the house because that's what I got. But anyway, look at Ricky Ricardo. They made fun of
Don't
the
know
way
who
he
that
spoke.
is.
Yeah.
He was the guy on I Love Lucy.
I've never seen I Love Lucy.
Oh my gosh.
But that's
Oh
another thing.
god.
So now,
But we
with
did.
that being
But
said, they
yeah,
made fun of him, just like they made fun
yeah.
of the They made fun of.
He was from
They made
Cuba,
fun of him heavy. They made everything was a problem. Everything was a joke.
and he was
Everything
a
was
Spanish band owner. He
yeah.
had a
And he
Spanish
owned a
band.
band, and he had his little
But it
business,
wasn't
and
to
he
the
was married to a
extent
white woman.
of right.
He was
But
married to
that's
a
the thing.
white
The
woman.
whole show was about the white woman. He was. It was called I Love Lucy. They were literally married, and she made that lane for her husband. You understand what I'm saying? But again, you make the lane. That's what I'm saying. So now it's time you'll make the lane.
And they made their lane, and now they're coming out and they're getting more popular. They're getting more roles, and they're shining now. Everybody's shining. Like everything is
Everybody got their own
somewhat equal.
situation.
Everybody's
You know,
thriving. Everybody's living.
and I'm proud of that. Like you got to go through all that. But I still can't. If I watch a comedy and something like that happens, I'm not going to see nothing but comedy.
Yeah.
I know you're
That's how I'm
not.
gonna say it.
I
See
know
nothing but
you
comedy.
are. I know.
So
So in other
In
news, what did
conclusion,
y'all rate it? Nobody rated the movie.
disclosure.
Like I gave it a 10.
I'm
I
gonna give
give
it
it.
a. Go ahead, boo boo.
I want to give it a. I want to give it a 6, and the reason why I give it a 6 is because I feel like they should have showed more of the accomplishments that is now within the community than just
But they did do
lingering
that,
on.
Boo. They did do that.
I I
When they started talking about Pose and all of that other good stuff, and Janet Mock and what she's been doing. We didn't even
oh yeah,
talk
no
about
no
Oprah
you're right.
asking old
Right.
girl Oprah of all people.
Oprah is full of shit. We don't even gotta bring her
She
up.
is full
in
of
this.
shit.
She ain't relevant.
That's why nobody
She ain't
spoke
bring
about her.
nobody but herself.
That's
Yeah.
why nobody spoke about her.
Yeah.
Oprah
She's
just
the one
trying
that
for us
was.
to look.
That's
Oprah is
next.
full of shit.
But I
Nobody
So,
give
spoke
it,
about
anyways,
Oprah.
a 6. Okay, boo
I
boo.
give it like a 6 or 7 because I feel like a lot of it was reaching, but I like it though because
It taught
it
you
showed a lot
something.
of stuff. Yeah, a lot of stuff that I didn't know. There was a lot of stuff that I didn't know.
Okay, that's
I said,
fair.
okay, cool. You know,
Joey.
I actually gave it an 8 out of 10.
Okay, cool,
I
cool.
I
Ty, what's
just
the?
wish they was. I just wish they was. Everybody would just get over the comedy situation.
No, we will never get over the common situation, Joey, because
I'm talking
we
about
are
in general.
oftentimes the butt of everybody's fucking joke. The butt of it. The butt.
I've been the butt of people jokes all
Ty,
my
what
life.
happened?
So
Baby.
have
All
I.
my life.
So
No,
have I.
no, I get it. I get it. But
My
we've been
vote
literally
is
the ass
inconclusive.
crack. What about Ty? What you thought about it? What you rated?
My vote is inconclusive.
Not a vote, it's a rating.
My rating is inconclusive.
Okay,
we
that's
go
fair.
for